Very good morning, everyone. Let me take a pen and we will quickly start our today's lesson. So, today we will start with Class 8 Geography. Okay? So, in Class 8 Geography, what is there in Unit 1, that is resource and its development. There are all 7 chapters you are seeing. First chapter we will take up today. So resources, in this chapter we will understand the definition of resource, then the different types of resources, what are the features of resources, the factors of utilizations and development. Okay, these 5 things we will cover in today's lesson. Let me give you a bit idea about this year's syllabus. As in the first chapter we are learning resources, utilization and development. In the next few chapters we will learn different types of resources in detail. Okay, and how are we using those resources which are naturally given by the nature, and how are we using them, and how are we making our country developed or making our economy strong. Okay, and lastly we have human resources. Human beings are known as ultimate resource. Why do we call as ultimate resource? That question need to be solved in this video. Okay, so first chapter we will take up first for today, and for your information I am using DAV CMC book for class 8. Okay, as we know that DAVs are widely spread in North India mostly, and they are basically following CBSE curriculum. Till class 8, up to class 8, they are having their own set of DAV CMC textbooks, and after class 9 onwards they are using NCERT books. So as it is a CBSE based school, so these syllabus, their syllabus and NCERT, it is solely NCERT based. Okay, so those of you are using NCERT books, for them also this video will be helpful. But if you want a separate video from me based on NCERT book, I will make it later on, but the topics will remain same. Okay, there are no difference in the topics in these two books. So today I am following DAV CMC book. It is a requested video from one of my previous student called Shorodip. So for him and his friends circle I am making this video, and I am sure, I can assure that this video going to be helpful for each one of you out there in this EdTech platform. So thank you everyone for listening. Let us begin with the first chapter. Here comes our first chapter called resource. Now first and foremost thing, we'll understand what is this term resource refers to. Now a product which has utility and value, and keep a note that this utility and value of a certain product may change or vary over time and place to place. Clear? Now let us come to the first paragraph. Nature has given us large varieties of rocks, soil, minerals, vegetation, animals, whatnot. We use these gifts of nature to fulfill our day-to-day needs. We need air to breathe, food and water to drink and eat, and to survive on this planet. Hence, all the things are on the earth which are necessary for our existence on this planet are known as resource. So two things are the features of to be a resource, a product to be a resource. One is utility, another is value, or it has to fulfill your needs. Okay, it should be necessary to you, or it's supposed to fulfill your needs. Otherwise, it won't be a resource. For an example, I am using a pen to write. Okay, this pen is valuable for me. It has a utility. Okay, but a lay person who don't know how to utilize it, for them it is, there's no value and no use of that particular pen. So for this person it is not a resource, but for me this is a resource. Understood? Let us come to the next one. So humans need and want are neither uniform in all parts of the world nor static over the years. Like in early man, we have seen that they grow generally. They wander different one place to another, and they hunt and kill animals for food. Initially, they used to gather food. Okay, and they were only giving emphasis only up to their satisfying the basic needs such as food and clothes, shelter. So food and water is needed, shelter, and third is cloth. So clothes to adorn their body, shelter to live, and food and water to sustain in this planet. But today in the modern era, we are not limited to only these three basic needs. We want more and more, and we are utilizing the available resources, and we are making new resources in purpose of fulfilling our increasing demands. Okay, even today, the pygmies of Africa eat edible plants, roots, flowers, fruits, hunt animals, and they are actually living in the early man only. But in advanced societies, greater emphasis is laid on the utilization of resource. Whatever resources are available in the nature, we are utilizing and satisfying the multifarious needs of human beings. Are we clear? Now let us come to the two different feature I was talking about. Feature of resources. First one, utility. Second is value. It change over time and places. Earlier human civilization flourished along a river basin. Human civilization flourished along a river basin. People used to grow crops in the fertile soil along the riverbed. They used to, use river water as navigation, for navigation purpose also, and for drinking water, for domestic purposes, for washing utensils. They were using river water. But nowadays, what are we doing to the river water? We are using it to generate energy. We are using it to irrigate the agricultural field, and as well as for navigation and industries. So our demand has increased. Thus, we are using available resources more and more to develop ourselves. For an example, China, United States are generating more wind energy than India. The wind is a natural resources. It is available in nature. They are utilizing wind and generating energy. Okay, in low cost, a lot amount of energy, electricity they are generating, and which they are using it every field of development. Clear? So moving on to the next. Another thing is here, that in the do you know portion, over irrigation is responsible for water logging. Now if you give so much water to the soil, in the top layer we have organic matter. Okay, dead decomposed plants, animals settle in the top layer of the soil, topsoil part. So what happens if you give excessive water to it? The first layer of the soil going to wash out. Okay, that's why what happens, that soil becomes infertile and no crops can be cultivated on ease. Rivers are suitable for navigation in the middle and the lower course. We know we are using rivers as navigation purpose also. Okay. So moving on to the next topic, utilization of resource. Now we know now what is resource. We have several examples of it. Now how to utilize and what are the different factors of utilization are there. For an example, you have cotton plant. And what you will do with that cotton plant? You will make yarn out of it. From that yarn, with the further processing, you will get a fabric, and from that fabric, you will make a garment. This is how the products are made. This is how the products are made. And now when you have the finished item, you need a good transportation uh, to transport it to the nearby markets. Yes or no? You need a good type of transportation also, so that it can be marketized. So this is how we are processing the resources present in the nature, available in the nature. So first and foremost thing, we need to process. And this is the processing where it includes from agro field to industry, factory, then by with the help of the transport and communication network, then you are sending it to the market, you sell them, somebody buy them, and you grow your economy. So this is the cycle, right? So for this utilization of resources, what are the factors? You need skills and technology. If we don't know how to make yarn out of the cotton plant, the industry won't be happen. If you don't know how to make a cloth from a fabric or a garment from a fabric, it is for no use. And then the finished item need to be transported to the nearby market to be sold, and people will come and buy. So this is how economy grows and we develop our resources in terms of all aspect. Okay, so what are the different factors? Availability of resource থাকতে হবে, skill of human beings, availability of capital. Money is useful. If you don't have money and you are having a field, barren field, so for investing on the seeds also you need a little amount of money. Then from seeds a plant grows, flourishes, then you need to transport to the nearby industrial area or factory. For that also you need capital. So capital investment is needed. Then comes the availability of water. The water availability is needed in all of the type of industry. Advancement of technology, tools, machineries, availability of transport and communication facilities, etc. These things I have explained with this schematic diagram. Sit with the books and copy so that you can write as well. And this is how, if you are learning with a mind map, then it will be easy for you and you don't have to memorize everything. Okay, moving on to the next paragraph given here, we will learn what are the different types of development. First thing first, that is developed countries. Second, you will study underdeveloped countries and developing nations or countries. Now, what are the difference among these three terminologies? Developed countries are having all these 5 factors, okay, in positive way. They are having resources, they are having skilled labors, they are having good amount of capital present in their hand, okay. Then advancement of technology and tools had already happened. They are having good quality of transport and communication. So as a result, their economy is strong economy, and they are quite developed country. For an example, USA, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Sweden, every most of the European nations, etc. South Africa, all of these comes under developed country because they are having all these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 factors or features. Clear? But on the other hand, India is still developing. Why so? Because we are lagging in terms of technology, capital, okay, skilled human beings or intelligence, okay. So that's why these factors are very crucial. And underdeveloped nation, for it I can give you one example of South Africa. Okay, in the African nation, South Africa is only developed nation, whereas you will get to see that in the northern Africa, several countries are there like Nigeria, Uganda, Rwanda. Um, these countries are there where the resources are available. But to utilize these resources, you will need technology and science. These are not available. Why? Because humans are uneducated. Okay. So they are unable to utilize these resources with the help of science and technology. And the next is capital is not there. That's why these countries are still lagging and their economy is very poor. Thus they are known as underdeveloped countries. Their population is high, they are unable to fulfill their people's need as well. So all of these reasons are making them underdeveloped. India, Bangladesh, Myanmar, all the East Asian countries are developing. Most of the westernized countries are developed like USA, Canada, Japan, okay, New Zealand, Australia, Sweden, Scotland, all of these countries are developed. Are we clear up to this? If there's any doubt, you can reach me through the comment section down below. Okay, moving on to the classification. Now, on the basis of classification, how many types of resources are there? It is very important question. Each and every year, 1, 2, 3 and 5 marks question comes from this. Maybe differentiate between two resources, two types of resources come. Maybe the features they are given you to write, or they'll ask you the whole of the chart. Okay, so this question is very important. So make sure you are learning this by practicing this flowchart. So let us come to the basis. On the basis of renewability, we have two types of resources, renewable and non-renewable. Renewable resources, those resources which are readily available in nature, air, water, soil, land, all these resources are renewable in nature. Non-renewable resources like coal, petroleum, natural gas we have. If you compare humans life cycle, we can max to max we can survive on this planet for 100 years, not more than that. But these resources takes millions of years to form or regenerate. That's why if we compare with our life cycle, it won't be, if once it has already exhausted, we cannot get it back. So that's why we need to be alert, very much alert these days. We should not use more and more non-renewable resources, because once it is gone, it is already, we cannot get it back. Okay, so we should skip or shift towards renewable resource. And on the basis of origin, we have biotic. The word biotic refers to life. So all the living beings we are having, vegetation cover, wildlife, etc., all comes under biotic. And abiotic, those who doesn't has life. Okay. So these things are air, water, soil, land, etc. Occurrence. On the basis of occurrence, we have two: natural and man-made. Man-mades are made out of human being. I mean, made by human being. Okay, like you have trees. We have trees from the nature, and we are using the wood and making furnitures. So these furnitures are man-made. The pen I am using, that is also man-made. The computer I am using, that is also man-made. So man-made objects, these are also resources. And the most important part of this chapter, that is, on the basis of development, we have two types of resources: potential and actual. Okay, so let us, as these, all the rest of the three resources I have already explained. So do one thing, you need to follow the book and read the definition of the resources and all the characteristics given. We generally ask features of the resource, example, and difference between one another. So these three types of question comes from this paragraphs. So go through it. I hope there won't be any doubt. So let us come to the classification based on the development of resources. Now first is, you are having resource. Okay, like Africa I show you, they are having resources, but those amount of resources are not fully tapped because of lack of science and technologies, lack of education, and lack of capital. So you are having potential, but some of the other reason the resources are not fully utilized, and thus you are not at all developed. For an example, petroleum can be found in old sedimentary rocks of Himalayas, or hydroelectricity can be generated by the force of falling water. The potential resources need detailed survey for estimating their quantity and quality. A preliminary assessment by Geological Survey, US Geological Survey, suggests Arctic seabed may hold as much 25% of the world's undiscovered oil and natural gas reserves. By one estimate, 400 billion barrels of oil might lie beneath the Arctic seabed. Okay, moving on to the next. This question is very important. Both of these very important. So follow. The actual resources of a country are those which have been thoroughly surveyed and their quantities have been ascertained. For an example, in the Middle Eastern nation, we find that most of the crude oil is present over there, and they are only exporting it to rest of the other countries in the world and making money. Thus they are growing their economy, and if a country's economy is strong, the country is developed. So what they have done, they have ascertained or surveyed the amount and the amount of resources they are having, as well as the quality of the resources, whether it is good quality or moderate quality. They have already known to it, and then they are exporting this to the rest of the country with the help of science and technology. They are utilizing the resources and they are growing their economy. So these resources are known as actual resources. Keep a note, once a potential resource can become a developed resource or an actual resource later on. Okay. And for an example, Saudi Arabia or Middle Eastern countries has 25.9% of world oil reserves. So this percentage is ascertained and the quality is also ascertained and surveyed. We know everything about it and we are growing our economy with the help of these resources. So that makes it actual and developed resources. So a quick revision, what I had said, that potential resources can become developed resource or actual resource later on in the near future. Okay, and actual resources are the potential resources which are already ascertained, the quality quantity surveyed and ascertained, and now we are growing, developing them with the help of science and technology. So if the difference come, what you need to write: first point the definition, define. Second point, you need to write the quality and quantity. In potential it is not ascertained and in developed it is ascertained. Third point, potential resource is not fully tapped and actual resources fully tapped. Fourth, give example. Okay, so this is how you have to cover the difference. Very important question comes every year, one or the other way. Okay, let us come to the next topic. So let us come to the word sustainable development. Sustainable development means the development that takes place without damaging the environment. So the resources, we are using the resources, but we are using in that manner that the environment won't be damaged, and we are keeping it also for future generation. We are using, and the rest part we are saving it for future generation. That is what sustainable development says. That means overuse of oil, coal, or the degradation, deterioration in the quantity and quality of any resources are not, permitted. For example, soil, land, water resources, etc. Therefore, the essential that we learn about sustainable development, that is use all renewable resources judicially. That means whenever you are taking something, take it judicially. Like every time I go in any functions or any wedding ceremony, I find that people takes a lot of food. People takes a lot of food in their platter, and they waste almost 70% of it. That's why I always suggest all my children, all my students, that take as much as you can eat. If you need later on, you can take it as well, but do not waste it. Do not waste. Okay, so this is what the using resources judiciously, minimize the depletion of natural resources. So as you can see, we have limited amount of resources, so you need to stop the depletion and conserve the varied species. So from here it comes the vegetation as well as wild animals also. You need to conserve all of them. Okay, so this is what sustainable development, which is one of the most important topic of this chapter. Clear? Use of resources varies from one country to another due to technology and skilled human resources. The developed countries like UK, USA make optimum use of resources as compared to the developing countries like India. Distribution of resources across the world is highly uneven. Rapid population growth has resulted in overutilization of natural resources. So if the population is increasing so much, then the number of people are more and the demand is also more. Demand is also more. So that makes developing country unable to make profit or unable to develop themselves. This led drastic depletion and degradation of natural resources. For an example, overutilization of soil has resulted in the depletion of fertility of the soil in many parts of the world. Thus, there is an urgent need to maintain balance between population, resource planning and conservation. Okay. depending upon the population, we need to plan our resources, that in what quantity and quality we have the resource and how to conserve it for future generation. So conservation is also important. Over the last few decades meaning is 10 years. We call 10 years as decade. Over the few decades, there has been tremendous increase in the concern for the conservation and management of resources, as they are rapidly depleting and need to be conserved. So after the important topic of sustainable development, let us begin with the word conservation. Now what is conservation? Conservation means sustainable and optimum utilization of resources. That means जितना है उसी में खुश रहो. That is the optimum utilization. जितना चद्दर है उसी में समाना है. All these proverbs we must have studied in Hindi classes. Now what is sustainable? We have already learnt it. That you use the resources but without damaging the environment. So this is what the word conservation refers to. Whatever items we are using, we should keep some portion of it for our future generations. Okay, we must realize that nature and its resources are not merely ours. They also belong to the future generation. Thus, it is necessary to use the resources more efficiently and reduce wastage. Development of technology, human skills and population control is essential for long-term sustainability of natural resources. Clear? Moving on to the next, we have to create sustainable community for the sustenance of life on the planet, else the ecological balance will disturb. We should plant more and more trees. If we are cutting 2 trees, we should plant hundreds of trees, otherwise there won't be ecological balance. Okay, we learn that we hear or read from the newspaper that animal comes out the forest and they are entering to villages. No, that is not the right thing. As you are cutting recklessly their shelter, okay, animal lives in wood. So if you are cutting woods recklessly, they don't have food to eat, they don't have proper shelter to live in, so they are coming out in search of food and they are entering to villages unintentionally, and what the villagers are doing, they are harming the animal out of fear. So the ecological balance is disturbed. Okay, so our earth is the only habitable planet, so spread awareness of saving earth from further deterioration. Follow 5 R's, that is reduce, reuse, recycle, refuse, rethink. So you should reduce the usage, then one certain item you are having, you should reuse if it is possible, recycling and making new things out of the old products. Refuse what? Refuse to damage environment and rethink before you do anything. Okay, before throwing a garbage on street, before cutting a tree, before plucking flowers from the tree, all these things, before damaging environment, rethink. Before left taps open, rethink that you are having abundance of water. Some people who are living in desert or semi-desert region, they are walking miles in the morning, early in the morning to fetch water. Okay, so rethink before you doing anything wrong to the environment. Use the resources according to the need and not according to the greed. How much you want, that much you take. Do not take extra and after that, extra out of your greed, and after that you end up with wasting the product. Do not do this. Care for nature, it will care for you. Okay, so this is all about the chapter. As I have said, I have completed the chapter in one full video and I'm sure that this is going to help you. Okay, those of you are of class 8 and studying in any DAVs of India, I hope this video will be equally important and helpful for all of you. Let us see the keywords. Depletion, when the quantity or number of something continuously reduces, that is depletion. Deterioration, the process of gradually becoming worse. Irrigation, watering the plants, crops and lands through canals, tube wells, drip, sprinkler method, etc. Okay, tube well method we know. Canals, cutting canals, Indira Gandhi canal in Rajasthan. Drip irrigation we know. Sprinkle irrigation like this you must know. So navigation, movement of ships, boats from place to place through water. Skill, ability to perform certain tasks with efficiency. Static, lacking in movement or not changing, whereas dynamic is ever changing. Clear? So this is all about the chapter resource utilization and development. From here we have started what is resource, okay, how to utilize the resource, what are the different factors of utilization, different types of resources we have gone through, and sustainable development and conservation. So these are almost 5 topics we have covered in these videos, which are very important for your learning. Okay, so class 8 DAV children, do share this with your friends and subscribe to my channel for the next chapter. Till then, happy learning.